Good morning, family.
Good morning.
Hope everyone is nice and warm today. Please rise and join us in our joy song, Joy in My Heart. I'm looking around to see if we have any visitors today. If you're here for the first time, will you raise your hand? No, just family today. I'd like you to please silence your cell phones, smartphones, etc., so they won't interfere with our service today. Our at 1 minute reader today is Tammy. Our guest musician and part of the family is Joy. So, Tammy, we're ready if you're ready.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A life well lived. Pleasure is nice, but it is never enough. Material wealth can be immensely helpful, but brings no fulfillment of its own accord. Power can give great satisfaction to your ego, yet a life lived solely in the service of ego ends up being small and pathetic. What truly makes life good is the commitment you put into making life good. What makes life good is the experience of making a difference. There is much that's already been given to you by virtue of your existence, and there is much more that may or may not be given to you. What matters at the core of your spirit, though, is not what you have, but what you do with it. No person, situation, event, or possession can give you fulfillment. What brings about real fulfillment is your participation in bringing it about. Life's rewards are not what you long for. What you long for is to genuinely earn your own significance. Every moment is an opportunity to do so. Treasure each of these opportunities, make full use of them, and you will have the priceless experience of a life well lived. That's by Ralph Marston.
Okay, our first hymn today is "Oh Beautiful for Spacious Skies." It's on page 16, and we'll sing the first two verses. If you'll please rise when you're ready. It's page 16, verses 1 and 2.
going to be dipping into the Bible and catching a phrase a verse that I think is meaningful. It's 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. There is no fear in love. Oh, wait a minute. Sometimes we get fearful. Sometimes things jump up in our faces, in our lives, and they really roll us back on our heels. They make us think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? And this verse says, there is no fear in love. It's saying we have to bring love to that experience, to those people, to that situation or condition. We're supposed to bring love to it. And yet, that makes such perfect sense. It isn't what immediately comes to mind for most of us, but with this kind of advice, it will come to mind. That if we can bring love to it, that is, if we can look for the good within it, because there is good everywhere. That's a definition. God is good, God is everywhere, good is everywhere. So as we look at that condition, we find that with time and with some inner wisdom, we can draw the good from it. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. Perfect love casteth out fear. Well, that's a wonderful promise, that we're not going to be scared about things. So, we're not going to be pushed off of our base. We're not going to be traumatized by situations or conditions, but that we can lean back and seek to love, seek to know the truth of that situation, because love is hidden there. Love is right in the midst of it. Perfect love casteth out fear. That's a beautiful way to think about things. When I can love it, when I can look for the good in it, I'll stop being afraid of it. A recipe for fearlessness, a recipe for courage, a recipe for inner peace. Worth listening to, worth considering, worth using. Well, 1 John. 1 John was a mystic. 1 John must have experienced wonderful things because he wrote wonderful things. Things that really were not found elsewhere in the Bible. You don't find in the Bible anywhere the way he talked about love and God. So I put a lot of store in this. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. My fearless friends, my courageous friends, my loving friends, utilize love and walk the paths of life fearless. I think we're to have joy. Thank you. Oh, wait. God is all. Both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God, and I'm ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
This song is very much in line with the at-one-ment reading, Tammy, so thank you. So how do we live a satisfied life and pass on with a satisfied mind? This is called Satisfied Mind. If you know it, feel free to sing along. How many times have you heard someone say, if I had money, I would do things my way. But little they know that it's so hard to find one rich man in 10 with a satisfied mind. Money can't buy back all your youth when you're old. A friend when you're lonely, or peace to your soul. The wealthiest person is a pauper at times, compared to the man with a satisfied mind. When my life is over and my time has run out, my friends and my loved ones, I will leave with no doubt. But one thing's for certain, when it comes my time, leave this old world with a satisfied mind. So I wish for you
It's time for our healing meditation. Do I need the prayer box?
No.
No, we get still. Take a deep breath. And let it out slowly. All the while scanning your body, spotting those places where we hold tension so often in our faces, our jaws, our shoulders, back. And relax. Let go. Just lean back into the arms of God. The arms of love, of safety. The arms that inspire wisdom and courage and insight and peace. Peace of mind. Because what is there to fear if God is right here, within, and all around us? And He is. For a moment, consider the thing that is challenging you the most right now. What is that to God? Is that a mountain? Is that an obstacle to Him? No, of course not. And with His companionship, with His love, and when we look for the good within that challenge, we will find it. It will become a blessing. It will become a road to freedom and greater understanding and peace. We've had these experiences before, these dark experiences. And sometimes we move through them with ease and sometimes with great pain. But we have moved through them. And if we called on God for help, we did it much more easily. So let us lean back. Lean back in His arms. Lean back into love, into assurance and peace and divine right action. Because God is all that right here, right now, for you, with you, within you, throughout your experience, throughout your life. Let us feel a sense of gratitude, of the truth. God's omnipresence. For we know that omnipresence for each and all in this room. We know it for all the people who are on our Valley Community Church prayer list. We know it for our armed forces, both in this country and in far-flung areas of the world. We know God's patience and wisdom, His power, His inspiration in and through the heads of every government in our world, especially our own. In the 90 seconds of silence we're going to have, lean back into the arms of God and know that All is well. All is well. Right now. And forever. Thank you, Father. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. We've rested. We've gotten more peaceful because we've remembered that God's arms are around us. God's presence within us. That power, that good, that blessing, that insight, that answer that we need, available to us. How wonderful to be able to live life with a sense of ease and freedom and assurance and peace. And we can, and we will, with His help. Thank you that it is so, beloved friend, beloved Creator, beloved presence. Amen. Shall we say the Lord's Prayer in the affirmative tense? Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom is come, thy will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Thou givest us this day our daily bread. Thou forgivest us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Thou leadest us not into temptation, but dost deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Well, today I'm going to talk about oneness. Now, these days, both spirituality and science seem to be agreeing on something that really flies in the face of human experience. It flies in the face of the evidence of our senses and our reason. All that we've always not just believed but been certain about. And what am I talking about? Well, these days, science tells us that we are not separate beings. That empty space between us that insulates us from each other, that has nothing to do with it. We are not separate beings. It says that we are all connected one to another. We're connected not just to each other, we are connected to all of nature, all the animals, all the people that walk the earth, people we will never know, never see. We are connected to. Now, this is an absolute contradiction to what our senses tell us, and always have tell us. Our senses tell us, well, I'm standing here, and you're over there. And if I was going to be one with you, I'd have to walk over and not just say hello. I'd have to put my arms around you and give you a hug before I was connected with you. I was one with you. Well, science says seeing is not always believing. Our senses cannot be depended on. They often mislead us. For instance, and this is a brain yanker. This pulls our imagination and our reason, actually. In quantum physics, they talk about motion at a distance. And what that means is that if you change the motion of a particle in one place, it can affect a twin particle so that the motion, its motion, replicates the one whose motion you've changed. Even if you're separated by half of the solar system, one will affect the other because they are connected. We always think of, you've got to touch something, you've got to have a force that moves something in order to change its motion. But no, they say that's not the case. Motion at a distance, it's called entanglement, and it's a very, very real thing. Well, how does this happen? Why does it happen, for gosh sakes? Well, it seems to indicate that separate things are connected in some kind of invisible way. Well, over and over these days, we hear about discoveries, about how animals and fish and plants and trees are communicating with each other, how they stay connected, how they help species, each other, like themselves, and also species that are different from themselves. I came across an article, an interesting one, about how trees talk to each other. Next time you take a walk in the woods, think about this. In the soil, underneath those trees, especially in a virgin forest that hasn't had a lot of cutting in it, there is a vast interconnected web of fungi. Now, the taller, older trees that have more access to sunlight because they're above the other trees, they produce more sugar through photosynthesis than they need. And the root tips of these older trees are enfolded with this fungus. And the fungus feeds on the excess sugar. But what it does is it exchanges that sugar for nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and other nutrients that it draws from the soil. So there's this fungal network in the soil that extends throughout the area, and it feeds the smaller, weaker trees. They tap into this underground network, and they use it as food to ensure their own species. Now, even trees of other species than the biggest, tallest ones exchange resources with those big trees in the fall and in the spring. Now, through this same underground network, trees that are being stressed because perhaps they're attacked by worms or insects that have tried to infest them, they send a chemical signal through that same underground network that triggered defense mechanisms in other trees. Connection between separate trees. Communication between various members of a forest. And it isn't just trees, oh no. Fish communicate. Fish do, with sounds. Fish make a great variety of different sounds, actually. Some contract muscles around their swim bladders. Others wiggle their pectoral fins, and they make a special sound with that. Parrotfish grind their teeth. Seahorses rub certain bones in their heads together to make a kind of clicking sound. Sometimes these sounds are designed to attract a mate, or sometimes they're designed to defend their territory. At other times the sounds are let out to let other fish of their own species know where they were, where they are. Now, sharks have extremely sensitive hearing. So do octopus, believe it or not. Whales communicate for hundreds of miles. Dolphins hear a great deal better than human beings do. They hear through vibrations in their foreheads, in their teeth, and in their jaws. They don't have ears, but they get the vibrations through these parts of their bodies. And they produce two kinds of sounds, dolphins do. Each dolphin has a unique high-pitched whistle, and all the other dolphins know who's there by their whistle. That's how they identify them. All dolphins emit clicks, and that's a way of both communicating, but it is also a way of echolocating. It's a device to tell them where they are in relationship to the other dolphins, to other fish, and to other objects. But then those clicking sounds, other fish make them too. They all, those clicking sounds help them to stay together when it's a school of fish moving around. They're clicking silently or softly to each other. All this, to me at least, emphasizes a natural need to communicate, to interact, to stay connected, to stay together. Oneness. Now, plants, believe it or not, are connecting with one another all the time. When you smell that wonderful aroma of freshly cut grass, what you're actually smelling is a plant's distress call. Oh, but it is. This is a scent that grass gives off when an insect is attacking it and trying to eat it. Makes the same kind of smell. Some plants use this as a chemical signal to attract the insect's enemies, which often show up within a couple of hours, and they start eating or they drive away the offending insects. What wisdom. And like the trees, plants warn other plants of danger from insects. The chemical warning signal prompts the other plants to increase their defenses. Sometimes plants will wage war against other enemy plants. They secrete a special protective barrier against the toxic chemicals that are given off by this enemy plant. And amazingly, one plant has developed a concave surface that reflects bats when they're peeping or cheeping or whatever it is, to echolocate. You know, they don't see. They echolocate through their ears. They know where things are that way. But this concave structure actually helps the bat to find the plant. And the bats roost in those plants, and their waste products fertilize the plant. What a wisdom. Elephants make verbal calls that can be heard with other elephants, by other elephants, as much as 6 miles away. But when an elephant stamps its feet, It's a warning of danger. There is danger here. And other elephants as far away as 10 to 20 miles away can feel those warning signals through the ground vibrations of their stamping their feet. They have receptors in their feet. They're very sensitive to the ground vibrations, and they catch those warning signals. Elephants can hear approaching storms 100 to 150 miles away, and they take protective action right away. It's amazing, it really is. More connection, more communication goes on in nature than we ever suspected until fairly recently. The sixth man who walked on the moon was Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell. On the return journey back to Earth, Ed had an experience that changed the course of his life. He had what he called a samadhi moment, where he experienced an overwhelming sense of universal interconnectedness. Now, this was a man who was a hard-headed, fact-driven PhD from MIT in aeronautical engineering. It was just the facts, ma'am, thanks. That's all. But that profound moment transformed him into a lifelong explorer of consciousness. What is consciousness all about? And the potential of the mind. He devoted the rest of his life to that. That feeling of universal consciousness, oneness with everything and everybody, has been believed in by many people. Some believe it on the basis of science. They find scientific reasons to believe in this oneness. Some believe it from just logic. It's the logical thing. Some believe it intuitively. It just has a right feeling. And some, like Ed Mitchell, who declared that this oneness is the truth, they say it because they have personally experienced it. Now, Dr. Lewis Thomas, who is the head of New York's Sloan Kettering Research Center, said this: every form of life is connected. Every living thing is alive thanks to the living of everything else. What's that? Connection. Alan Watts said, you and I are all as much continuous with the physical universe as a wave is continuous with the ocean. Swami Vivekananda is quoted as saying, all the differences in this world are of degree, not of kind, because oneness is the secret of everything. And Yogi Amit Ray says, we are all so deeply interconnected that we have no option but to love all. Well, how about us? What does divine science say about oneness? Well, we certainly agree with all these people that I've quoted, but the basis of our belief in oneness really comes right out of, well, some who have experienced this marvelous spiritual understanding, this unforgettable connection with nature, with everything. But others in our group feel that that concept of oneness rings an inner bell. It agrees with something we've always felt, but we never could put into words. We read about things that happen tens of thousands of miles away, and somehow we have compassion, we feel outrage or edgy or angry about them, those people whom we will never know, never meet. We feel a oneness with him. Others still, the concept of omnipresence, the belief in one universal presence that is the basic creative energy in the universe, from which everything has come, well, it's just logical. If you believe in omnipresence, you have to believe in oneness. They hang together, and it's satisfying. It answers questions, basic questions. Now for me, Melinda Kramer's first-hand account of omnipresence is moving. She said it in plain language. She talked about the power of truth, of the truth of her spiritual experience, this omnipresent thing that she knew. Before that, it had just been an idea, something she'd heard all her life. But it was true. And to me, that carries a kind of weight. It's impressive. But what's most convincing is that she based the rest of her life, everything she did from then on that belief in omnipresence. She was true to the spirit of omnipresence. And that meant, and it means for all of us, that we turn to God for every need because he can be trusted, because he can bring divine order. He can bring health into a body, into the mind, into interpersonal relationships, into a job situation, into a financial challenge, or a misunderstanding with someone, a feeling of edginess or fear of something. Omnipresence means that we need to guard our thoughts. We have to do that. We have to release every negative belief or opinion, and we have to replace it with a positive one. That is, a certainty that God and good are present in every person, every situation, every condition that we meet in life. God loves every one of us unconditionally. Matters not what has happened in the past. He sees us as his children, as his image and likeness. And as his children, we have to express love because he is love. And we, whether we know it or not, we too are loved. We love by looking for the good everywhere, in everyone. We are kind at all times because we know that what we sow, we are going to reap. The more consistently kind and generous and understanding that we are, the more good that we will attract physically, mentally, in every other way. We are one with God. We are one with good. Forever and consequentially. We are one with the whole creation. You know, it's very interesting that the Buddhist point of view carries this exact same idea forward another step, and one that I had not thought of, but it's worthy. And what they say is, when people's inner lives are misguided or unbalanced, the environment, human society, the ecosystems, oceans, atmosphere, and geography is negatively influenced. And one of their great teachers, Nichiren Daishonin, said, if the minds of living beings are impure, their land is also impure. But if their minds are pure, so is their land. Wow, that's a giant step, isn't it? It's not just us and our individual lives, but it's everything. Changing our minds changes the world. It's a powerful incentive to change our thinking. Catching our negative thoughts and replacing them with truth thoughts will not only bless and benefit us, but they're going to bring positive changes to our whole environment, to the whole world. Do we believe in oneness? Absolutely. Absolutely. We are connected with God. And because we're connected with God, we are connected with everything in God's creation, with everything in the universe. We are citizens of the universe. We are one with it all. Shall we close our eyes and go within? We are one with God because God is omnipresent. We are one with good because God the good is omnipresent. We are one with our dream if we continue to hold it in the hollow of our hand and work toward it. Believe in its possibilities. Only believe, Jesus said, and all things are possible. This day, you are one with all the people you know, all the people you love, all the people in this world, all the plants and animals, all the fish, the trees. You are one with it all because God created it, and you are one with His creation. All of it. Beloved Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the understanding that we can contribute to the good of the world through thinking truth, dwelling on love, understanding that good is everywhere, in everything, because God is everywhere and in everything. For this understanding and for bringing it forth moment by moment and day by day, we thank you. Thank you for your help. Beloved creative spirit, beloved Father, Mother, beloved friend and companion. Amen.
By special request, I invite you to sing along. It's Woody Guthrie song in honor of our nation's birthday, and I have an extra little verse that's appropriate for our oneness. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, I found your
opportunity to say I love you. So wonderful.
We all do.
It's time for the blessing of our gifts, to give thanks for that which was first given to us, our time, ourselves, and our possessions. Please say with me, today I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God, omnipresent, blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. And as the baskets are coming around, take this opportunity to turn to those around you and say thank you for the special gift that you are. Thank you.
Say hello. Please take one. Hold this person in prayer this week and bless yourself as well as them.
Sugar never melts.
Good morning.
Morning, Jim.
Okay, we're going to get the important things out of the way this morning. Birthdays. We celebrated birthdays yesterday. Now we're celebrating July birthdays. We got a whole list of July birthdays. Tom Dean, Rick Mallon, Earl Withrow, Jenna Martin, Wendy Greer, Tammy Mulkey, Doug Watts, Martha Locke. We got lots of birthdays. See who's here? Martha, Tammy, Rick, Wendy, and Doug. They're all here. We have birthday cake left from yesterday, so that's what we're having for today. So please join us next door after the service that we're going to have. Directly after this service, we're going to have the memorial service at the columbarium, so we'll have that, and then everybody's welcome to go get their cake and coffee. Let's see, on July the 10th, which is a Tuesday night, we're going to have our dinner out. We're going to go to Hollywood's. I know some of you all call that the other side of town. That's where Melanie and Nancy and I live, but y'all going to have to come across town. And Stephanie. So anyhow, we're going to go at 6:30. We're making it at 6:30 so people that work can get off and get over there. So, but I will need to know by next Sunday if you're going to go, because they do have to make reservations. So keep that in mind and let me know if you're going to go. This Wednesday night, being the 4th of July, Marita's not going to have her book class. We will have the coffee house if people want to go there. If you do, fine. If you don't, if you've got other plans, but we will have that. Also, the flowers for today are for the 4th of July, so everybody just take some and enjoy them. And we appreciate everybody coming out yesterday for the party and picnic. We had a really good time. The events people, as always, they do a great job. So again, thank Kate and Pam and everybody for what they do. So we appreciate that very, very, and Wendy for all, and they get the sparklers and everything. They just work hard to get our events going, so we really appreciate that. So anyhow, everybody have a great day and enjoy, and come out to the columbarium. You have something to say?
One thing. Voices of Faith are sponsoring a series of movies at the South County Library. They're on the second Thursday, so that'll be the 12th. They're free of charge, And they're about spiritual subjects, and the next one is going to be about forgiveness. And there's a discussion afterwards and some light refreshments, I think. Anyway, it's worth going to because I was sorry that I was out of town.
Really good.
Yeah, and people who have gone have said they enjoyed them. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, certainly did.
Yes,
So-
we're planning, we usually, we're gonna not even have a happy chat that night, we're gonna try to plan to go for that. Some of us didn't get to go last time, but Pam went, she said it was very
Yeah.
good, so.
So think about it, maybe put that evening aside next Thursday. Not this one, but next.
All right, our final hymn